Hey everyone! I have been working on about 50 coasters for a wedding, and I'm making a gift as a thank you to this person, Kathleen Osmore, and I'm hoping this will be something she loves. Excuse my voice, I've got a little bit of a cold. I'm going to be doing a tray, a resin tray, and I'm going to do it in layers. It holds 64 ounces, and I may not put a total of 64 ounces. But I am going to do, for the first layer, about 22 ounces. So I'm looking at the side of my cup. That was B first, and I'm using Counterculture DIY Artist Resin, medium viscosity, which is what I use for all of the coasters. Alright, so I've got 22 ounces. I'm going to start my timer. Always be safe. Wear gloves. Use goggles or glasses. Use a mask to cover your face. Even though it's low or no VOCs, there's still little microvalvules that float up in your air. Usually you can't see it. Sometimes you can. And it's just stuff that could go into your eyes, nose, mouth, whatever. So just be safe. I'm going to start my timer at 6 minutes. I'm going to put that aside so I don't get resin on my phone. And the key with resin, you don't have to stir fast, just consistently. So I do backwards and forwards, I do around the edges, but it does not have to be a fast thing. It's not a race. It's just consistency. You want to introduce as little air bubbles as possible. So I'm going to fast forward through this. I'll actually stop the camera and come back when I'm finished mixing. Okay, so it's been 6 minutes. I'm finished mixing. I'm going to put, I think this is a 12-ounce cup. Let's just see how much that leaves us within the container. That still leaves about 14 ounces. And that's probably, let's go a little bit more. I want to have clear in the middle. And then in the bottom, around the edges, I'm going to do black. So I've got, let me put this on a paper towel. I've got beaver dust, black pearl. I'm going to put a little bit in there, but not a whole lot. And I'm not even going to measure. Just gives it a little shimmer. You always want to make sure that if you get something on your mold and you wipe it up, you do it with alcohol so that it evaporates and does not leave any moisture in your tray. So I did a really sloppy job on that, but that is the black pearl. Let's just go ahead and stir it in just to see what that little bit does. It's not gonna make it totally black, and I want it really black. But it gives it a nice pearly kind of look. But this bottom layer is not so super important. I just want black in general. But I'm trying to leave the center part clear. Now I'm going to use Ebony Dispersion Color by Counterculture. And I'm going to put in probably, I don't know, that might have been half a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon. So we're going to see how really dark. I want it pretty opaque, so not transparent really at all. I'm sitting down, and when I pull it up and look through it, it's not really transparent at all, and that's exactly what I'm wanting. I've got probably about 9 to 10 ounces of clear here, and so the rest is the leftover. So I mixed 22 ounces total. So this would make this about 12 ounces or a little more. And then I'm just going to come around the edges and pour. Now right here I actually accidentally kind of poured over the side edge. So I'm gonna wipe that. But right now I'm just wanting to get it in the mold. So I'm gonna take my paper towel, put a little alcohol on it. Alcohol can go into resin anytime. It'll run down the sides. I just want to get the high spots, because anyway, the edges will be painted silver anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, now the clear. So maybe I should have put the clear in and then poured the black up to it, but it is what it is. So this right here will be about 1/3 of the tray filled up right now. I'm going to wipe off my stick totally. Doesn't really do a great job of that. But since I did it, I'm just going to go around the edge so it all looks consistent. That even may make the black go in more, I'm not sure. Again, this is just going to be the base. So you can heat it with the heat gun, you can use a torch. So that's with the heat gun. I don't even think I'm going to mess with the torch. I don't see many bubbles. I do see one little thingy. You can also spritz alcohol on top. That will get rid of air bubbles on the top surface that rise to the surface. Okay, so there's a little puddle of clear right here in the middle that I can see, but that's not going to matter because of the next layer. I've got this tray cover, which is much deeper and longer, so I'm using it to cover it. And I'm going to wait about 5 hours, and then I'll do the next layer, which will be the pretty layer. And it all may go in, and you may not see any clear by the time 4 or 5 hours rolls around. I did want to show you this. You can turn your cup over on your silicone mat on my table here, and just let the resin drain out. When it's cured, just pop it out. You can also go in and just wipe out the resin with the paper towel, and it takes a couple of times. It doesn't all come out at the first round, so just don't expect it to do that. So that's the first round. Paper towel, and this time I'm going to squirt the alcohol in pretty well. So it's a nice good coat of alcohol, and then go around the surface. And that really cleans it up well. That gets out all that little bit of residue that's left in there. I can do it one more time and use the same paper towel. And then also clean up those edges on the outside of the cup. And so when the 4 or 5 hours rolls around and it's time to put more resin in, it'll be clean. It'll be ready to go for the next round. So that's just, you can do that if you want to, or you don't have to. And I'm cleaning up my gloves, because what happens is I'll take these gloves off and reuse them again as well. One thing I do want to mention is if you squirt alcohol on top of your resin, do not come back right immediately with a torch, because it will cause a fire to flame up. I've done it before, and it doesn't go into like flames, but it's just not safe. So do not use fire right on top of alcohol inks or alcohol in your resin pieces until it's had time to kind of dissipate into the resin and it's not laying right on the surface, or it's had time to evaporate. Okay, I just lay my gloves out. If they have any resin, by the time I check this in 4 or 5 hours, the gloves will be cured if there's any resin on it, and the piece will be cured as well. So So I'll be back in about 5 hours. Okay, I have let this cure and I'm going to do the next layer. I've mixed 24 ounces of resin, 12 of the B first, then the A into the B, and mixed it for 6 minutes. Started my stopwatch 2 minutes ago, and so I'm just trying to decide how much I want of each color. This is a 12-ounce cup. I'm going to make white, so we're going to go about that much for the white, and I may add more to it. This is a 5-ounce cup, almost 5 ounces of, I'm going to do the pure black, about 5 ounces with the shimmer in it, and that leaves some clear. It's about 7 or 8 ounces of clear. Put a little bit more in the white, so that still leaves 5 or 6 ounces of clear. So this is going to be the white. It's about 10 ounces. I've got a cast and craft that's brand new and it doesn't want to come out. It needs the hole poked bigger, but I'm going to go with the other bottle. I'm just squirting in a bunch. I put a little bit of alcohol ink in because I always like to. Don't ask me why. And this is beaver dust. It's white. I want some sparkle, so I'm going to put a nice, healthy, good spoonful of it. For the all black, that is ebony dispersion color. I'm going to put some in this cup, and I want the black pearl beaver dust, a nice healthy spoonful of that. So I think I'll stir this one up first. So this will be my second layer, and then I'll put the handles in at a certain point during the curing time, and then I'll do a top coat of clear just to really seal those handles in, so that the handles go in midway into the process, and then that way the top coat really seals the deal with the handles. And I could have gone with less of the dispersion color because it's super potent. Usually a drop or so will definitely work in a 5-ounce cup, so I may have gone overboard on the dispersion color, but that's okay. Because some of the white will probably mix in with it, and you'll get that shimmer. Okay, so now I'm going to mix this white up, and you let that mica powder get in there and sink down, because otherwise it just floats through the air. So you should definitely have your mask on. And this takes quite a bit of stirring with the cast and craft and the ink and the mica. You can't just stir it a few times and be done with it. You got to really mix it in. And I'm actually doing it off camera. I didn't realize you couldn't see it, but I added one more little scoop of white, sparkle white, to this cup. So there's white beaver dust and Etsy Funshine sparkle white in the white. So I'm going to start on the outside edge. And you know what? You should not pour so quickly when you start out, because when you get around to the other side, there's not as much. So I'm going to take my stick and just try to slide some of this around. That's called pour planning. I think it'll still work out, but I'm scraping it here to get it around. So this was just the pure black. trying to even it out a bit from before. I want a clear middle, but it may not end up being clear in the middle. I'm not sure. And the clear goes in the middle. So I'm just going to let this kind of sit for a minute. Well, I'll heat it. So the white is kind of going out into the black, which I didn't expect, but that's okay. Don't want a ton. So right now it's in the clear area that's in the middle. And hopefully the white won't overtake it. I'm just kind of pressing it down with my stick. If the white covers it up, I can put some glitter in the clear coat too. And just leave that little bit so that I can maybe add some in the top coat. So I have more white than black, and I really kind of wanted it not that much. This is totally not what I planned on doing. Plan B. You don't see any of the black shimmer at all. So early on in my resin journey, I did a gold and white one that was beautiful, and it worked perfectly. And that's what I envisioned for this one, and that's just not what is happening. I probably shouldn't have done the swirls, because I think what's going to happen is it's going to scoot in, because everything always goes inwards when it's curing, and those swirls are probably going to totally disappear. I'm going to cover it up, and then I'm going to come back maybe in about 45 minutes to an hour and check it and decide if I want to go ahead and put handles in or change it. Just in 15 minutes it's taken all the swirls away. It's not set up, but it's tacky-ish. So I'm just going to swirl around. I'm going to go ahead and set the handles. So these are 5-inch acrylic and silver. I'm liking it better, actually. But anyway, I'm going to cover. Okay, we got some spots of light, but there's the tray so far. It is heavy. When you do 64 ounces of resin, it gets pretty heavy. So I'm taking this cup and bending it and then just getting the edge. And you just go around. And you might miss a spot or two, but generally it comes out pretty much in one piece. I'm going to finish this not over the tray, so that I don't get crumbs or what have you on the tray. I'm going to mix up probably about 12 ounces or so maybe 16 ounces. And I still want to put a little bit of glitter right in the middle, as long as it doesn't rise to the surface, because the coasters that I made that go along this theme have the black and silver black and silver glitter in them, and so I'd like for it just to have an accent. I'm going to move that over, do my 16 ounces of resin, and I'll be back. Okay, I've got the 16 ounces mixed, and I was thinking about how much I've already put in here, which was at least 44 ounces. So that would make 60. But I'm pretty sure this mold actually holds more than 64, because it's still not even close to the top. But anyway, I'm going to start by pouring it near the handles and the outskirts, so that it has a chance to go kind of everywhere. Not pouring it on the handles, obviously. So I'm going to use my heat gun. When I'm finished with this, I'm going to have to pour water in the mold and just see how much it really does hold. So every time you pick up a heat gun or heat tool and try to blow or anything over the top of it, you're always introducing the possibilities of something that is on the heat gun or heat tool that's going to fall in, so that you have to really check and double check for debris, dust, fur, hair, that kind of thing. So I've got just a little bit of glitter. I'm just going to take it and put it in my little spoon. Cover it, and I'll give it at least 6 or 7 hours to unmold, and then we're going to do silver edges. Alright, let's take this bad boy out. It is thick. I bet it weighs 4 pounds. So there is a little lip right here, which I actually like having that, because then you can use your pen and go along that ridge. So it kind of acts as a barrier. Use liquid chrome, the shiniest silver out there. and then I'll do the sides. Let these two sides dry, and then I'll do the other sides. You can clean up anything on the back with paint thinner. So I'll show the finished results after it's dried.